quarterback rankings for the XFL. Pretty volatile week so far. We've had trades, a quarterback getting released, a new starting quarterback named. Last week we saw 13 quarterbacks play. We'll have 12 rankings this week. A lot of info to get through. But once again, guys, thank you guys for all liking, subscribing, commenting. Slow down on the algorithm a little bit. Personal opinion, I think less people are more interested in the XFL. But regardless, the biggest thing I want to do with this show is continue to put out good interviews with actual players. And this side content right here is more just to keep everyone informed and, kind of shining a highlight on, some players and then bringing some players onto the show. So without further ado, let's rock into it with our Week 6 going to Week 7 quarterback rankings. Coming into the honorable mention, Derek King. Teamu kind of went off this week for the defenders. King had a limited workload. Didn't have any rushing attempts, so utilized on the 2 points as usual and had one pass attempt, completing it for 4 yards. King is coming up on about 100 yards. He's thrown like 2 touchdowns this year. He's been that gadget player as a backup, but with Teamu taking a step forward, probably see more King just rushing than we've already seen in the season. Coming in at number 12, we got Kurt Benkert. The San Antonio Brahmas, signed on either a Wednesday or Thursday, and then thrown in there. He was originally picked up by the Roughnecks, and then brought in on Thursday because of injuries to Reed Sinnett, Jack Cohn. Didn't really do much. 1 of 6, 2 passing yards, a pick, 2 rushing attempts, 5 rushing yards, and the fumble. Played pretty poorly, to be honest. His biggest contribution was a defensive pass interference that he threw on one of the deep balls. San Antonio ends up getting the win. But their most effective offensive weapon, it appears, is John Parker Romo, their kicker. But he kind of looked extremely uncomfortable, in my opinion. As far as his mechanics looks half decent, but this is the first football he played. Remember, he got released by the Packers and then signed on the practice squad of the 49ers, so he didn't really get the preseason to kind of work with the team. But seems that with San Antonio still in it, they'll continue to battle it out, and between him and Jawan Pass. Coming in at number 11, Kyle Slaughter, Arlington Renegades. Originally, he was ranked number 9 last week. Originally ranked number 2 overall. 6 of 13, 22 passing yards, 1 rushing attempt, 1 rushing yard. Guys, this is it for Slaughter, most likely. He was obviously the number 2 quarterback coming in. I don't think many people disagreed with that. He started 4 games this year for the Renegades. He went 2-2, and then was released. A lot of people think that was a mutual decision. It was not per my contacts with the team. He was really frustrated with the lack of passing plays called by John Hayes. A fall from grace. Started out in 2022, the USFL real hot with the Breakers. Was the all USFL quarterback. Injuries happened. Then kind of looked fatigue coming into, and then finishes his career with the Renegades right now with 60% completion percentage, 499 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 picks, 27 rushing yards on 8 attempts. It's a sad day. A lot of people were high on this guy. He never really looked comfortable, always looked like he was pressing. If he didn't find his first option, check down to Canelo or running back. I don't see Slaughter getting picked up by even the Vipers, who are only dressing 2 quarterbacks and got 2 on the roster this week. I think if anything happens, he'll be in the USFL and he'll get picked up to their first injury. And I think this is it for him personally. The guy's made almost $2 million playing pro football between the NFL, USFL, and XFL. This might be his last hurrah. He's coming up on 30. I think he's 28 years old. So we'll see what goes on for Slaughter. Coming in at number 10, Luis Perez, Vegas Vipers. Last week I had him at 5. Went 13 of 20, 99 passing yards, no touchdown, 2 picks, 1 rushing attempt, 4 yards. So, fun thing about Perez, every time we think he's taking that next step, he puts together 2 games. There's always that 1 game back. He's kind of a better relief pitcher, honestly. Recently was traded to the Arlington Renegades. It kind of sucks. He's kind of becoming the alt football version of Josh McCown and Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh Johnson. He's been on 10 teams in his career, his pro football career, with the spring league, the NFL, the XFL, the AAF, and the USFL. I mean, he struggled to find open receivers. He looked overmatched. The defense on the Battlehawks was doing a lot of different things in the front seven, and he honestly just got out schemed, it seemed like, or maybe it was a coaching thing. I don't know. Hundley came in later, put together a pretty decent game, but Perez was recently traded to the Renegades. He's going to be the QB3 this week. He's not going to be active. So we'll push on with that, see what happens in the rest of his season in 2023 for the XFL. It doesn't look like the NFL is coming. Coming in number 9, Drew Plitt, Arlington Renegades. Last week he didn't play at all. He was unranked. This week he goes 10-16, 163, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 3 rushing attempts, -2 rushing yards. Their quote was the spark plug. This week, per my sources with the team, this might be it for Plitt. He'll be getting the start this week, but they'll be activating Kevin Anderson for the first time this year. I'm big on Anderson. He's been with the AAF, was with AJ Smith in the spring league, in the CFL as well. It looks like if Plitt has a little bit of a short leash this week, Arlington's 3-3, still has their has their, that's the word I'm looking for. Still has controlled their destiny. Still a game up on San Antonio, but almost could have clinched it with a win against them last week. We don't really know what's going on with their offense. Defense is one of the better teams in the league, but it kind of looks like this is his final shot, and maybe, the NFL seems a little bit out of question for Drew Plitt right now. And then number 8, San Antonio Brahmas. Juwan Pass, 8 of 14, 57 yards, 4 rushing attempts, 21 rushing yards. I mean, nothing sexy from the guy. Put together a decent performance. A little bit erratic, but this was his first professional game. Technically played a clean game, missed some easy throws, but he did manage the offense safely enough to steer them to a victory, their second one of the year. I mean, the whole quarterback room in San Antonio is in flux with Cone injured, Benkert there, pass, still not really wowing anyone. Had some nice, rushing attempts, but that was really it. His athletic ability, they tried to run some read option with him a little bit. It looked okay, but I mean, this might be just a throw it against the wall, see what sticks. I'm not too keen on Pass right now. I think Benkert is better, but not by much, to be honest with you. And then number 7, Brett Hundley. Last week he was unranked. This week he went 9 of 18, 120 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, 1 rushing attempt, 5 rushing yards. I mean, he came off the bench, managed to lead the Vipers to points. Honestly, the Battlehawks are kind of playing a more relaxed defense, kind of playing the sticks, not being as aggressive, not as many blitzes. Obviously, Perez gets traded. And they're going to Jalen McClendon right now. McClendon is at a stint with the Wildcats of the XFL in 2020. This will be his first professional start, out of Baylor. Not really the most effective passer McClendon is, so at this point, it wouldn't surprise me to see them go back and forth. Vipers are 1-5. They're pretty much done from the playoff race. They got to play St. Louis again. They got to play DC again. It just doesn't look like, there's in my opinion 2 losses there. They're not going to get into the playoffs with 3-7. They might sneak one away from the Vipers, but it doesn't seem like at this point Vegas has any real fight in them as a coaching staff. Looking more for the players to continue to build on their resumes and whatnot. We'll see if Hundley gets in. I really don't think he'll play much. I think he kind of just ride or die with McClendon at this point. It's a shame because Hundley was one of the more handsomely paid quarterbacks in this league. Coming in at number 6, Quinn Dormandy, 24-44, 243 passing yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 5 rushing attempts, 43 rushing yards. I mean, this guy has everything against him. He's got this ridiculous accusation that got dismissed, essentially. Offensive line is terrible. Coaching staff's in shambles. Shane Matthews calling the plays now. Receivers are getting hurt or dropping passes, penalties upon penalties, and this guy's still putting together a decent performance. I count 5 drops against his receivers. Only had 3 bad throws against, in my opinion. on my grades. I mean, this guy, he's making himself some money right now. I don't know if he gets an NFL shot at training camp, but if a team needs a quarterback to work out, after this during the season, Dormandy's putting it all on the line. And it's really respectable right now. Guy should be proud of everything he's doing. He's the most functional quarterback they've had, and I've been big on Paxton Lynch. But Dormandy's actually moving the football and kept him ahead of Seattle for a little bit of that game last week and almost played spoiler. Coming in at number 5, I got Ben DiNucci, Seattle Sea Dragons. Last week he was number 4. This week he's 18 of 35, 177, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 6 rushing attempts, 43 rushing yards. This guy's a turnover machine. He's got 14 turnovers this year, more turnovers than touchdowns. He's running around. He's kind of playing a schoolyard offense. It's cute at times, but not really. Kind of ironic because after he said you can't catch me on his rushing attempt, literally throws a pick a play or two later. I mean, I think DiNucci, he's putting together some good film, and then he's putting together some abysmal film. Every time he makes a throw, you're like, wow, I can't believe he did that. The next throw is, what are you thinking? I mean, the good thing for DiNucci is that they're going to ride or die with him. I don't see Montez being able to have the same statistical output that DiNucci has. They move the ball a lot. He just makes a boneheaded decision. This week he managed not to fumble at all, but he's always due for 1 or 2 turnovers throughout the week. Coming up into the rankings this week is Cole McDonald, last week of the Houston Roughnecks. Last week in honorable mention, 8 of 11, 194 passing yards, 1 TD, no picks, 6 rushing attempts, 37 rushing yards, and a rush TD. I mean, I don't want to call for a quarterback change. I think that's irresponsible. Silvers has been pretty good for the majority of the season, but McDonald's going to make this real hard for AJ Smith and shorten that leash for Silvers. It looks like there's a controversy brewing. I don't think so. We're pretty much locked in with this team. We talked to AJ. We talked to Brandon. It seems like Brandon's going to go out there again. Maybe he was not being used to McDonald. He's pretty much doing everything DiNucci wishes he can do. Threw a beautiful 85-yard touchdown to Deontay Burnett. Had a good strike to Ben Putnam as well for 37 yards. That was a hair short of a touchdown. The guy's been on point. The good thing about Houston is that they're going to run away with the Southern Division. Arlington doesn't have it figured out, nor does the San Antonio. They've obviously beat up on Orlando. It seems at this point it's kind of more get right, figure it out, because either they play the Battlehawks in the championship or DC. One of these teams is going to, take advantage of their mistakes and whatnot. It's kind of seeming like Northern Division is actually the true championship of this league right now. Coming in at number 3, Brandon Silvers, 10 of 17, 111 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, 0 rushing attempts, 0 rushing yards. I mean, Greg Williams just took advantage of this poor boy. There's no other way to say it. Silvers couldn't find a rhythm. He was obviously benched for the hot hand of Cole McDonald. Couldn't get comfortable. Williams kind of baited him on some throws. Couldn't find any real rhythm and got sacked twice. I mean, that DC defense is one of the best, if not the best defense in the league, led by one of the better coaches in the league. As I stated, even though the Southern Division is pretty much locked away to Houston, it does appear that Silvers is going to have a short leash going forward, which is kind of a shame because of how well he played in the first 4 weeks. Coming in at number 2, I got Jordan Ta'amu, DC Defenders. Last week he was number 3. Coming into the season, I had him at number 1. This week he went 19 of 31, 245 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 3 rushing attempts, -5 rushing yards. I mean, slowly but surely, kept making his way up. First 2 weeks were pretty abysmal through the air. I mean, they've been relying on the ground game most of the year, and Ta'amu was finally able to use his mobility. Not so much rushing the ball, but more just moving around in the pocket, finding an open receiver. I mean, this guy is finally figuring it out. Fred Keiss has been able to kind of mold this offense around him, and we're seeing the best of Jordan Ta'amu right now. Lucky Jackson and him have a pretty decent connection. He was able to work with the tight ends a little bit too in the red zone. Pretty much kept Derrick King on the sideline right now because the guy's a top 10 rusher in the XFL, and now he's beginning to show that ability to be a top 10 passer. Final quarterback of the list, AJ McCarron, St. Louis Battlehawks. I think McCarron's been our number one quarterback 5 of the 7 weeks. 23 of 29, 236, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 14 rushing attempts, 18 rushing yards. I mean, he's continuing to prove he's the top quarterback of the XFL. Another dominant performance. That first drive going 0-3 and then getting the third down conversion called back due to a penalty. Guy went 19 completions in a row. They obviously won the game pretty single-handedly, 29-6. I mean, this guy's on it right now. Obviously, St. Louis is fighting Seattle for a playoff spot. They do have the tiebreaker as of right now, but McCarron knows what to do. He's playing some of the better football that we've seen in the XFL. Continues to have an even keel, and the biggest thing he's said in all his press conferences and when I've talked to him, he's having fun. He's not letting the moment get too big with him, and he continues to keep these guys and this team on his back and be the effective leader that we all know him to be. It's been a pleasure watching him, and honestly, as someone who lives in St. Louis, what he's doing for our city, he's the leader. And this is going to sound like Batman a little bit, but he's the leader we need at a time where football in St. Louis has a very sour taste in our mouth. Thank you guys for coming to the end of the video. I appreciate it. If you can, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Coming up on 600 subscribers means a lot. I'm going to do a giveaway at 1,000. For any other questions, guys, hit me up through social media. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.